Welcome back. Welcome in. This is Country Roads Confidential at earsports.com. We are part of the Paramount Podcast Network. I am Mike Casaz, getting ready to preview that which is maybe unpreviewable. I'll explain that which is inexplainable in a second, but to help me out, Chris Anderson. Chris, welcome in. What I was trying to say there was we're going to talk about a Big 12 Media Day gathering that's going to ask a lot of questions that just can't be answered. And we'll talk a bit about the 2022 Big 12 season that I really think is going to be hard to predict, just because if you saw the results of preseason Allconference and the preseason poll, I think a lot of people expect this to be very much an up in the air, play it till the finish kind of season.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at that preseason poll, and what do you got? What, five teams that had a first place vote? Baylor, Oklahoma State, all within 20 points of each other, which is extremely tight for those curious. And you look at years past, and typically, I mean, even last year, I think was 35 of 39 votes went to Oklahoma for first. Mm-hmm. Go back before that, and it's similar kind of situation. I mean, I can't remember. I did get a laugh, by the way, because I think I got cut after the 2020 year. Not to get off on a sidetrack here, but when I was looking up, because talking about how many teams got first place votes, and 17, 12, 9, 2, 1, and I was like, man, how many points did a typical first place team get in this preseason poll? Start going back. It's pretty similar last year. It was 35-4, and then you go back to 2020, 80 votes, first place votes for Oklahoma, out of 90 total votes from the media back in 2020. So they pared the list down quite a bit after 2020, apparently. I think that might have been the last year I had a vote, and that's where you're at. Like, I think, but my point being, this is the most spread out that those first place votes were when I go back and look, because it's typically, again, 2021 was 35 out of 39 was Oklahoma. And then the year before that, 80 out of 90, and keep going like that. It's similar numbers like that. Usually only 2, maybe 3 teams, with the vast majority going for one team. This year, who knows?
Yeah, I was gonna maybe start with the part about how we're going to be trying to answer the stuff we can't answer, and what to expect from the Big 12 Media Days when Brett Yormark actually speaks and the things that he'll be asked. Let's save that to the finish, because I kind of gave it away right there. We don't really know a whole lot about it, so why the heck would we talk about it? Let's talk about the preseason poll maybe first, but also the all-conference teams here, and what it means. What you just explained to me is I think by and large the summary of what we can expect. I've been whenever I write about the Big 12 season here, preview pieces, if I'm using some of the really good video content we have from our library from Josh Pate, or Cover 3 with Tom Fornelli, Chip Patterson, I linked to one of Pate's things about where he said this is going to be a demolition derby, which means that like everybody's going to be crashing into each other and no one's going to make it out clean and unscathed, like with all 4 doors functioning properly and all 4 tires rolling perfectly. You're probably going to take some damage here, because I mean, you're right that the gap between 1 and 3 is really close. 4 and 5 are pretty close. I think 6, 7, and 8 are pretty close too. 9 and 10 are not, but like, I just don't know what's going to keep this from being what we expect, which is kind of a closely contested, surprising Saturdays one after another throughout the fall here. I was curious about maybe your other impressions when you looked at order, point total, sleeper status, surprises. But I want to say this. Once upon a time, I kind of opened my mouth and I said I was going to get to the bottom of something. Didn't. Got a lot of people mad at me about it. Less is more. We'll just say that. I'm going to figure out who gave Iowa State the first place vote. I'm going to get to the bottom of this one. By God, I don't know how this happened, but like 17 first place votes for Baylor, 12 for Oklahoma, 9 for Oklahoma State, 2 for Texas. That might qualify as a surprise. None for Kansas State. That's your top half of the conference. Iowa State got 1. So a reporter thought Iowa State was going to win the Big 12. I don't know what happened. Maybe they found a 2021 ballot and put it in there on accident. I don't know. maybe we should have a recount, but that was very surprising to me, and it doesn't really skew the voting a whole lot. It gives them 10 more points than perhaps they should, but that stood out to me. And also Texas getting just 2 when I think typically, as happens, Texas won the offseason again, but it did not really reflect in the polling here.
I just think the thing that struck me, and then also because it was related to the preseason All Big 12 team, and a lot of the conversations that have centered around this conference all off season is what's the quarterback situation? I mean, I think my love hate relationship with Spencer Sanders has been well documented over the last couple of years. But the fact that he was the first team All Big 12, preseason All Big 12 quarterback, maybe speaks to what it's not an issue. I guess maybe it's an issue, whatever you want to say it is, or why there's such presumed disparity between or parity between the teams in this conference, because who knows who has what at quarterback? Everybody has new quarterbacks. There's no definitive team. There's no team that just has, hey, we have seen this guy be amazing and he is coming back. That team is a favorite. And I think that is what, the big correlation between the two releases this week and why we're seeing all of that. Because I asked the question, how many quarterbacks, and I'll ask you, Mike, I don't think you answered in the thread.
I wanted to ask you to bring this point up because I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, like how many quarterbacks out of this 10-team league do you think received a single vote for preseason All Big 12? And part 2, do you think one of them was JT Daniels?
It's a great question. I would like to know. I mean, they're not going to put the balloting out, but how many votes did he get? Would you think 4?
Right. Yeah. Like I think it's probably as spread out as the team votes. Like, it's going to be a handful for him. I'm sure a couple people voted for Spencer Sanders. I'm sure a couple people voted for Ewers, the Ohio State quarterback down at Texas. And I'm sure a couple people looked at, like you have so many guys coming in. Adrian Martinez is coming in. And if you're excited about what he could be, then maybe he gets a couple votes and on down the line. And again, JT Daniels, like, hey, wait a second. If we're talking, we don't know who is a known commodity. I think, Spencer Sanders is the most known commodity in this league at quarterback. And he's still unknown because he's so erratic, so up and down. And so if you're going to go with potential, why would you not consider the former 5-star quarterback who, when healthy, big caveat there, has been excellent by every analytical tool out there? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Yeah. That's the toughest position, I think, in the entire conference.
When I say the voting on the 4, I don't mean he got 4 votes. Obviously, I forget what I counted, 39 first place votes, but I wonder if like 4 quarterbacks got a sizable amount of votes. Let's go over this really quickly because I think it's interesting. And remember too, when West Virginia came into the Big 12, 2012, 2011, no, 2012.
Yeah.
Geno Smith was the preseason player of the year in the quarterback, all-conference quarterback. So, like, it's not a perfect comparison, but you can be a newcomer and make it here, too. I'm not sure that Jalen Daniels gets any votes, although I like him. I'm not sure Hunter Deckers gets any votes. I don't know who's going to be the quarterback at Texas Tech. It could be Tyler Shook. It could be Donovan Smith. They have a true freshman there who they really like. I'm not sure who the quarterback's going to be at TCU. So, would you give Max Duggan or Chandler Morris your votes? Not sure. Then you get into something interesting here. Blake Shapen at Baylor, but that's like a new guy, so I'm not sure how you can make it for him. You're not getting up to Adrian Martinez, who was last seen kind of getting, I don't want to say booed out of Nebraska, but definitely did not live up to expectations there. Can you give it to Ewers, who's never played? Maybe not. And then you get into, is it Daniels, who's seasoned, accomplished? Is it Dylan Gabriel, who's the preseason newcomer of the year, who is going to be in a good offense and knows the offensive coordinator? Or is it going to be Sanders, who, yeah, maybe he has his warts, I guess, but he's done it here for a while. And of all the options I listed who have experience in the Big 12, he probably is the best one. So it does look weird. It might be the right answer. It might be the best bad answer, if that makes any sense. But, like, it says a lot about the conference this year, where the quarterback position in a league that has for so long been synonymous with quarterbacks is so murky right now, and that's I don't know if that's entertaining or not. I have no idea what to think about it. Is it going to be high scoring, great football? Probably not. Is it going to be like Fun Belt action? Maybe. I don't know, but like this paints a picture for the season. I just don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like brilliant brushstrokes or if it's like pre-K finger painting.
Well, I mean, it is. I think this just hammers the point home that it is a quarterback-driven league, sport, and when there are unknowns at that position, you're just going to have unknowns about how you foresee that team. Because I think although I guess when you look at that the Baylor thing is just, I don't want to say it blows my mind,
Surprising.
but it's, yeah, I mean, when you have a quarterback, because again, it was Bohannon who was kind of their guy last year, gets beaten out by Chapin, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you pronounce it. And then so Bohannon leaves, but then I guess you're trusting the coaches there that they're going to take the new guy as the new starting quarterback, but there are enough pieces around him that you think that team's going to be excellent. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I just was surprised because so typically when you look back at those teams, or look back at the preseason polls and preseason teams and everything like that, it's quarterback. You're focused on who the quarterbacks are. I mean, Oklahoma was the team last year. They had Spencer Rattler. They go back the year before that, for the preseason polls and the teams, and it was Oklahoma again, but that was because Rattler was new. But at the same time, and he was newcomer of the year because he was a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ellinger was the preseason pick. And I think Texas got a handful of preseason picks to win the conference as well. So it's so quarterback driven, except this year, which again, maybe it does make sense since no one has that definitive standout quarterback that is going to be dominant this year.
Other impressions, apart from Baylor being first place, snapping Oklahoma's 6-year run, or Texas being 4. Oklahoma and Texas are always going to get favored, and they were 2 and 4. Surprising to me. Chris, I told you this offline. I've been doing previews with our Big 12 sites here for when I'm on vacation for you. There is a team that is serving up some Kool-Aid that I cannot resist. Can you guess?
I mean, it's got to be Texas, right?
No.
Ooh.
Credit to Tim. Go Power Cat. I'm all in on Kansas State, I think.
Oh, no.
I don't know what the over-under is. I don't know what the odds are, but he put me down the rabbit hole, and I went and I looked at it. A lot of it is on the quarterback, but don't forget, they have Will Howard, too, who's been there for a while, and it's different offenses. It's going to be what Colin Klein wants. They have really good skill position players. They have an offensive line. Their defense is going to be dynamite, too. I would not be surprised if this is a team that's in Dallas. I'm not sure they beat Baylor or Oklahoma or whomever is theirs at the other end, but like I can see this working. The schedule's okay. They have some veteran players and good sides of the ball. The more I don't know if it's I'm just like wanting to be romanticized by the story here or whatever, but the more I read about this and the more I look at their roster and who they have and what they've done, it seems like it's going to be pretty good. By the way, they're recruiting like crazy right now too. That it's a really good year for Kansas recruiting. This is how far I've gone down the hole, Chris. Kansas recruiting, thumbs up for me this year. That's going to be a really good year from the Sunflower State.
I have to ask, do I need to send my condolences to the TCU site? Do I need to tell Jeremy that, your love affair, your annual love affair with TCU is over?
I'm always wrong about them, so this might be good news for them.
Or were you just tied to Gary Patterson? That's what were you a fan of the coach or a fan of the team, Mike? That's the question.
It's just a different type of purple. That's all. I'll go for that. One reason I think to be so high on Kansas State is the talent. And then if you had just dropped from the sky here and landed in this podcast, and I said to you 2 minutes ago before I went in this tirade, hey, which of the 10 Big 12 teams had 6 players on the first team all-conference list? I think you would guess 4 or 5 schools before you would guess the right answer, which is Kansas State. Deuce Vaughn, really good running back, weapon. They bring back Cooper Beebe, offensive lineman, who was first team all-conference last season. They're good there. Malik Knowles, punt returner, kick returner. So yeah, not like a true all conference player in the sense that it's a quarterback or a cornerback, but that guy's going to play receiver. He's going to make plays too. The defensive player of the year, Felix Anaduke Uzoma,
Nice.
a terror on the end. Daniel Green, pretty good linebacker, is going to run around. And then back end, Julius Brent's a safety. So I've just rattled off running back, offensive line, special team / receiver, defensive line, linebacker, defensive back. It's just kind of built. And again, 6 players, whereas Oklahoma had 1, and it's the punter. Does that mean Oklahoma's bad? But no, but like that struck me as quite a disparity too. I mean, Oklahoma has as many players on the all conference team as Kansas. What year is this?
Is this the year Kansas comes back to glory, Mike? The return to glory for Kansas?
Yes, it's 2007 all over again. It's strange. It's just again, these are preseason lists, and it's a smattering of people who vote across the conference. But listen, 6, West Virginia 4, pretty good. And then not only that, but like it's on the offensive line, Zach Frazier. It's on the defensive line, Dante Stills. And for the longest time, West Virginia's footing was not quite as firm in the trenches. And here you have 2 of the best 5 offensive linemen and defensive linemen in the conference. And then I don't know what this says about secondary play in the conference, but like Charles Woods did not play a ton of cornerback last year, did not play a whole lot of football, did play, and then concentrated his action toward the end of the season in conference play. But he was a preseason all-conference pick at cornerback. He's one of the 5 best defensive backs in the conference. I'm not saying that's not accurate, but like that surprised me about the quality of secondaries in this conference. And I don't know what that means. Are the quarterbacks going to struggle, or will they rise above that? Because we just don't know about the secondaries. I'm telling you, Texas Tech, Chris, is going to have one of the better secondaries in the Big 12. Texas Tech.
I'll believe it when I see it, Mike.
Yeah, right.
I'll believe it.
Anything about the all conference teams that I haven't stolen from you yet? I mean, it's there are some revelations there for me.
No, you go ahead first then. If you got revelation, because I don't want to say I've given up on those polls, but I mean, I didn't think there were any egregious, as far as a WVU. I gave it a WVU centric look. I didn't think there were any egregious, like, leaving guys out or anything like that. I almost wanted to give kudos to all of those who voted for putting Charles Woods on there, because I think that was something it's not something you typically see with these preseason polls, where, no offense to the media folk, where they take a look and say, hey, this guy didn't play the whole season. He played some of it, and he was really good. Maybe he didn't have a bunch of counting stats, but he was really good. And if you, extrapolate that out to a full season, he's probably all Big 12. And they voted him on there. And I think that's a testament to what he did in that short amount of time. And I think he deserved it. I think I would have voted him for him, but I'm surprised that everyone else did as well.
Yeah, and having voted for these before, sometimes you build your list based on who was on the all-conference team last year and who is coming back this year. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, 29 players listed, 28 were first team, second team, or honorable mention last year. The exception is Woods. Yeah. So they had to do some work to find him and to see, like, all right, who's good, and he was it. And he's a PFF darling, so that might have been it too. So that'll be fun to watch here too. Finally, just a couple of minutes here and we'll go. West Virginia goes on Wednesday. Part of the 5 teams that go, the other 5 teams go on Thursday. I'm not going to bore you with who goes when, because it's car wash stuff. You go through and you talk to the players and the coaches. But Brett Yormark will talk his first time as the commissioner, speaking up about things. A year ago, Bob Bowlesby kind of he turned the egg timer upside down in his tenure by saying that expansion doesn't keep him up at night because the motivation isn't there anymore. Here we are a year later, new commissioner, him in his place at the dais, taking the questions, doing the answers. Do you expect or anticipate anything coming from the new commissioner that will shed some light on what's going to happen with this league?
During media days, no. I think he'll come out, he'll say all the right things. I think if there's anything that we've taken from the last couple of years with what's happened with realignment, is that the real stuff, the true groundbreaking, earth-shattering moves that are made are kept incredibly quiet. You look at that Texas-Oklahoma decision. That didn't come out until they wanted it out. That didn't come out until they wanted it out. Same with USC and UCLA. That kind of stuff stays under the radar. And so every time now when I hear something that's, hey, Big 12's talking to this school, this school, this school, is there some truth to it? Probably. But is it that close to being done? Probably not. I think they're doing a much better job nowadays of trying to keep things under the radar with some of these moves. And I'm not sure he's going to come out and say too much or tip his hand too much during this week.
Yeah, plans and strategy, that's all stuff that has to stay quiet, I think. But I hope that they put this proactive picture on, because the Big 12 has always been a punchline. But the Big 12 is up first this year. First of all the conferences to go, not even the Power Five, but first of all the conferences. And just say, hey, we feel like we're stable. We got our additional teams in. It's better than having to go out and try to fight for teams now against other conferences that want teams. What's wrong with the Big 12? Like, we have, from Mountain Standard Time to East Coast time, and we have all these different TV windows. We have playoff contenders. This is a good thing. It's not woe is us. How does he style that? I don't know. We'll see. But I'm kind of interested too. And then he's going to get drilled on some questions about media rights and what he thinks, because, and listen, he's really good with sponsorships, and he's been in the entertainment / media business for a while. So I think it's within his grasp to talk about those things with some detail. So hey, first chance, first impression, it should be something to watch. That'll be Wednesday morning. Baylor, Kansas, West Virginia, Kansas State, Oklahoma State the first day, and then for the final time, probably Texas and Oklahoma go on day 2. Funny they put those two together. Those are always the most popular when it comes to the reporters, so they typically split them up. But Texas, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Iowa State, and my Horned Frogs on Thursday. Plenty of action on the website. I'll be there live. Chris, you'll be playing goalie for me if anything goes wrong. We'll try to talk from on site sometime when I'm there. And then I go on vacation again.
Again? Wasn't the joke that I was the one that was always going on vacation? I don't think I've gone on vacation yet this summer.
Until next time, I'm Mike Casaza.
And I'm Chris Anderson.
We'll talk to you later.